Welcome to the Authentic Man podcast. I am your host, David Chambers. This is a podcast for men who want more and less from life. More deep connection, more emotional intelligence, more self-awareness, and more great sex. And less heartache, less conflict, less overthinking, and less stress. Creating dating lives, sex lives, and relationships that are incredible and authentic. My deepest goal is that you, the listener, can take away what you hear in this podcast and apply it to your life so that you can experience greater happiness, transformational growth, deeper relationships, and profound sexual intimacy. I believe that as men, we are capable of so much more depth than we are shown or led to believe. So join me as we get deep into this. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Authentic Man podcast. I'm David, I'm your host. I hope you're doing well. This is a podcast for men and also for women. I put that in brackets because, it's wonderful to learn about men's experiences, but this is for men who want to have better dating lives, relationships, deeper intimacy, better friendships, and also come into a sense of healthy masculinity. I talk to wonderful guests around all sorts of topics that I see that affect men's lives and what's important to men. And this is not a different episode to that. This is a wonderful episode where I sit down with Kimberly Hill. She's a dating and relationship coach for men, and she's wonderful fun as well. We had a really good time, good, enjoyable, funny time recording. And she only works with men like myself. So this is a sort of episode where you get two dating coaches sitting down who work with men talking about dating and what men do well and do badly and what they want to learn about. We talk a lot about, how to meet more women. That's something that comes up quite a lot in the episode, as well as we talk about confidence. We talk around, some of the messages we tell ourselves. We have an interesting conversation around, there's a lot of focus in the world about nice guys and how they struggle in dating. And actually we talk about what happens to bad boys and how they struggle in dating and relationships. So we talk about that, which is a really interesting part of the podcast because that's not something that really gets spoken about very much in dating. There's a lot of focus on nice guys. We talk a lot about, how you can meet more women. Ultimately it's a big part of it. Like why men struggle in dating as well, while our mindset's getting in the way and how we can start to move past that. We give some really good tactical and strategic ways in which you can basically have a better dating life, especially in this day and age in 2022, which is I don't even know if we're post-COVID. Are we like pre-post-COVID or something like that in this world? Because, I work with a lot of men and they're struggling to meet women, and we're having a lot of conversations around how they can basically meet more women. This is a big conversation I have often. And this episode is really, really good fun. Right, it's a lot of fun. We laugh a lot, and I'm a huge fan of Kimberly's and her work, and I'm really grateful for her to be on the podcast as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yes, what else have I got coming up? I have got a new program that I'm running, which is actually me and also running together. My partner, it's a relationship program. We call it the Relationship School. It's an 8-week group coaching program for singles and couples to really learn the art of deeply connected and authentic relating, right? Because one of the things that we talk about this in the podcast as well with Kimberly is this way in which we struggle to relate. We struggle to really connect with one another in a way, and because our communication is broken, because of our, the way we've been taught to how to talk to people doesn't really match up to what we want. So inside of this 8-week program, we're really going to deep dive into that, and you're going to get this wonderful perspective of a couple, two people who are together that also met, and created a relationship, and how we did that. And we'll teach you a lot of wonderful tools to do this, and I have deep faith. Not even deep faith, is I know how much this changes people's lives because I work with men individually, and also works with women individually. And we also do couples coaching, and we're working with couples as well. So this is a really beautiful opportunity to work with the two of us. So if you're interested in that, there's some details in the show notes, so you can get in contact with me as well. But yeah, we've got a lot of great things coming up, basically. There's going to probably another link to a free workshop around conscious relating as well that we're running in there, so you can check that out as well. But I think that's enough for me in terms of announcements. And yeah, I will leave you to jump into this wonderful episode. So, Kimberly, I've been looking forward to speak to Kimberly for a while. I've been, watching her diligently on Instagram and enjoying her videos, enjoying her reels. And I think one of the things I enjoy most about your reels, I wish I said this before we started recording, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that you just record a whole load at once. And I'm just like, fuck yes, I need to do more of that.
Funny, like I batch create them. I sit down and I'll create the content, which takes a while, and then I'll get in a setting and in a good mood, and I'll record them all, because the pressure to be on camera or do them daily wasn't sustainable for me. But the funny thing is I've had a couple random comments where some dude was like, maybe you've even seen these. Some dude was
I saw
like,
it.
Yeah, what did he say? He's like, do you know what Primark is? Try shopping there. Change your outfit or something. And I was like, do you think I'm putting the same thing on every day and standing in the same place, recording them with the same daylight every day? I'm like, dude, I batch create these reels. And I said to him, just wait, I got a new batch coming out. You can complain about that outfit shortly. I don't think I ever heard from him again.
I saw a guy, I can't remember what the reel was about. And his comment was literally like, I don't like this new background and this new outfit that you have on. And I thought, wow, I think sometimes, there was there's an account, and what is it called? Like, I think the account's called like We Are All Vibrations. And he put up a post, and it was like, God give me the confidence of a 25-year-old life coach. And when I read that comment, I was like, God give me the confidence of an internet troll. Like, you follow someone, you take in their content, and you're like, oh, they're teaching about dating and relationships, obviously something you're struggling with. And you think, what am I going to say about this reel? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that I don't like the colorful background and the dress she's wearing. Like, you couldn't be more kind of stereotypically dysfunctional male comment if you asked for one.
Totally. And then in my DMs, I got this guy cracked me up. He goes, do all you own is turtlenecks? Because I had 3 or 4 different batches and different colored turtlenecks. And I don't even know if I responded to him, but I literally was like, that is funny. I screenshotted it and sent it to my sister. And I was like, this is the stuff that I get that cracks me up. And then some other guy, I guess, saw that I had an earring in my top ear. And he just slides into the DM, and he doesn't even say hey or anything. He just goes, that top earring means that you're into BDSM. That was it. That's the whole comment. I was like, interesting. I'm like, you might be onto something, but you're not. So I get random comments. A lot of people are supporting and commenting on the material, which is the intention. And then you get the fun bunch of people that say, hey, it sounds like you have a lisp, or I don't like the outfit you're wearing. Or just the other day, the guy was like, could you please move your captions down? Because obviously he wants to see more of my breasts. My captions cover my breasts. And I just put the crying laughing face as a response, and was just like, no, I will not be doing that. So you get the good with the bad as you put yourself out there on camera. And to be fair, most of even the kind of trolling comments I will laugh on. It's only on the very rare occasion where someone says something that genuinely hurts my feelings, because I'm a human, and sometimes people can be really mean. And to be fair, if you disagree with my comment, I will never remove your comment. If you are polite and you disagree and say, I don't believe that to be true, here's my experience, I will encourage that dialogue and conversation. However, if you comment on a picture and you're like, really rude or derogatory to me as a person, I'll just remove you, because you're not adding any value to the content. You're not being part of a community. You're just trying to hurt my feelings. And for that reason, I will bless and block you. And I've only had to do that maybe 4, maybe 5 times in the last year or so. But just saying, if you want to poke some fun at me, I'm all for it. If you want to be a dick, you're gone. You're gone. Bless and block. See you later. Yeah, that's how I go.
Yeah. I'll say that I also receive not strange messages, but people love to comment on what I'm wearing. Like if I wear, like sometimes I wear hats like I'm wearing now, and I only really wear a hat when my hair gets really messy and I can't bother to do anything about it. And it's funny when men comment about what you're wearing, or you've got this video, you've poured your heart into it. It's about vulnerability and the ability is to connect to people. And they're like, hey man, nice shirt. You're like,
yeah, I know. And you're like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll put it in the positive comment section. But of course, what any creator is hoping for is dialogue around their content. Right? If anyone that's putting that type of content out there. And then there's the people that are just lifestyle influencers and they want the nice outfit comment. That's what they're going for. But hey, I like compliments. I used to really struggle to accept them, and now I learned to take them. So there are guys that are just like, you look great, or you look beautiful, or nice hair. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you very much. Like, I really appreciate you taking time to pay me a compliment. It makes me feel good. And so I'll thumbs up you, or I'll give you a heart or whatever if I've got the time. So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. We could talk about this part for hours. But we'll start the podcast now. Okay. And we'll start with the question that I told you about before that I ask everybody, which is, as a woman to be working with men in dating, because there's a number of wonderful women that I know of in the scene doing wonderful work with helping men in the dating world, because God knows a lot of men need a lot of help in the dating world. But what was your journey to become a dating and relationship coach?
Yeah. So let me be clear. I never had a direct path to say, this is what I want to do. And the story I'm going to share, even though I'm going to give you a summarized version, this spans over a number of years of me having realizations and working through things, and then eventually getting to where I am now. So I grew up in Vancouver, Canada. And when I was around 19 or 20, I left on, I was going to do a summer backpacking trip through Asia with my girlfriend. It was kind of like, bye everyone, see you in 2-3 months. I didn't come home for 10 years. So wow. I ended up in Bangkok, Thailand, and traveled all Southeast Asia and kind of made my way down to Indonesia and Bali, and then met a bunch of Australians when I was there, and then flew over to Sydney, Australia, and had some kind of little small jobs here and there, just having fun, and then realized, wow, I want to stay here. This place is awesome. So I got a little more serious in the job search, and long story short, I kind of ended up working at a brokerage firm in finance and financial derivatives. And I had gone to, school for, business administration, but never went in for math particularly, or, said I want to start working in finance, but I had a knack for it. And so I ended up getting hired at this firm and spent 9 years working there. Across Sydney, Australia for about 6, or maybe it was 8 years. Sydney, Australia for about 6 years. I worked at this firm, and then I transferred up to Singapore for another 2 years, continued working there. And this is a very masculine dominated industry. So on the broking floor in Australia, I'd say there was maybe 100 people on that floor, and it's an open concept type of office. So everyone sees everybody. You can, throw a football across the room to someone else type thing. And there was 2 other females on that front broking floor, and 2 hidden away in the back office. And so it was me and a bunch of dudes, essentially. Lots of testosterone, lots of rugby loving, your Aussie kind of footy playing type boys, right? So how that relates to what I do now is I became friends. I learned to create healthy and fun relationships with lots of men. I worked with them. I hired them. I fired them. I flew around Asia and the world with them. And because I built these strong relationships with these guys, I also was able to witness the struggles they were going through in their lives. So men that had, very demanding and stressful careers and lots of client lunches and drinking and partying throughout the week, also trying to maintain their relationships or marriages or spend time with kids. And not all of it was perfectly balanced. And I saw the rise and fall of a lot of them throughout the time I worked there. So there's this kind of seed developing within me of compassion and understanding of some of the issues guys were going through. On the other hand, I was a relationship person, but I wasn't figuring it out for myself. I'd gone through a couple relationships during the time I lived in Australia. Some of them were really painful for me. I couldn't quite understand why I was kind of repeating a similar pattern with the men that I was dating and choosing. And so I wasn't really even making a choice as to like who I was dating or why. I was just ending up in relationships. And I was struggling through those as well. So combination of like being in this male dominated industry and understanding men, and then also like not really doing so well in my own relationships, led me to start working with a coach. This coach was actually provided to us through the company, and our CEO hired him and said, look, you guys want to talk about either your work stress or your life stress? He's like, I don't care. I just want you to have an outlet to deal with the stress in your life. Obviously, a CEO wants a better bottom line and more performance, but it's one of the ways to get there. And I was like, I love, unpacking and dissecting my own challenges. And I do want to learn about myself more. So take those kind of two variables, put it into Kimberly working with a coach for a fair amount of time. And I realized a lot about myself. I realized that the subject that I wanted to talk about the most was relationships. And I also realized through that I had a real knack for supporting other people, for empowering them, for motivating them, and for giving them a safe space to talk about their stuff. These guys in the office would open up to me. My friends would open up to me. My friend Hannah would describe me as, she goes, Kimberly, she goes, if I want the no bullshit real advice, or if I need someone to really rely on, she goes, I'm coming to you up and above anyone else I know. She goes, you're that person for me. And like maybe that went into my head a little bit, but guys challenging lives, me challenging relationships, really loving the self-development kind of coaching world that I turned, kind of led me to have this like aha moment of, I could continue in this corporate career and keep rising up and make that my life, or I could at this kind of younger age take a totally different path. And I did. I quit my job and said, I want to become a coach. I wanted to help people feel more confident. That was it. That was the goal. And then through a series of learning to be a coach and trying to start a business and fumbling and losing money and making mistakes and having all these realizations and teaching myself how to be a better person in relationships, I then wiggled my way out to becoming Kimberly Hill dating and relationship coach. So a lot of life experience and then a lot of training to support building this business. And now I've been doing it for a couple of years. So definitely it's not a straight line story, but I also am here because men are one of the most under-supported parts of the population when it comes to dating and their emotional health and relationships. Women tend to value the quality of the relationships or their relationships slightly more than men do. Typically, men derive their value from their contribution to society and the work they do. So it's not uncommon that women will talk with their girlfriends or get more emotional support around this area versus men. But if I can be an outlet for men to say, wow, there's a woman out there that supports and understands that we have challenges and needs, and she can create a safe space for us to understand the female perspective and understand what women are looking for, and how to coach them to be more confident in the process, then I'm happy to be in that role and doing that. And it gives me purpose and value. And working with guys is a lot of fun. Guys have a different energy. They approach things a different way. And I find I can relate to them and make them feel like they're in a really safe container to learn to start being vulnerable with women, which is usually a skill that they're wanting to learn. So, here I am now doing what I do. And as you know, I have a playful, fun spin to a lot of the work that I talk about. And so therefore I'll resonate with a whole bunch of people, and maybe I won't with others, but here I am, dating and relationship coach. And just a little side note, because of all the work I've done, I'm now in a relationship that's the healthiest it's ever been. That's, challenging me every day and pushing me to do what I'm coaching others to do. So this path was not only to support others, but to support myself so that I could actually achieve the kind of relationship I wanted to have. So yeah, here I am in the flesh.
It's really interesting to hear, like, you just had this really deep understanding and compassion through your experience of working so closely with men. Like, I feel the same because I work with men, and I worked in technology for 16 years.
Yeah.
So I worked with, it's very funny that probably about 50% of my clients are the sort of men I worked with for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Right? And like you said there, they don't have anywhere, they don't really share how they're feeling about stuff. They don't really talk about their relationships. Like when a man says to another man often, like, hey, how's things with your wife, your girlfriend, or your dating life? They're like, yeah, man, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. If you turn to a woman and say, hey, like, how's things in your relationship? You get a 20, 30-minute download, right?
She's like, oh my God, I've been meaning to tell you this thing happened, and da-da-da-da. And that's women.
Yeah.
Right.
And I see that men want to, right? They want to talk, but they don't feel like they're allowed to. They don't feel they have space. Maybe this is a good question. It's like, what do you, why do you feel that men don't talk? Why do they not talk about themselves? And this can be inside of dating as well. So I know this something that affects a lot of men. They don't talk about themselves. But as a wider thing, like within dating and maybe even with friends, why do they not share themselves with people?
Yeah, stereotypically, because society has raised men to not talk about their feelings, it makes men feel as if they're weak or inferior if they have a problem or they have an emotional problem, because emotional men, wow, that's a weak, feeble man, says society, right? So they'll bottle it up and they won't talk about it with other people because that's the perception that they don't want to have from other people. So obviously that narrative is changing a lot with more people like yourself and myself and tons of other great people and authors and speakers that are saying, guys, definition of masculinity is maybe not as rigid as you thought it was. And in order to form meaningful connections, you will have to get in touch with your emotions. Now, I'm not saying that every man needs to wear purple and plant herbs and take on tons of feminine qualities. I'm just saying that in order for men to feel connected and to have support in a community, it usually will start with them opening up a little bit, right? And it's not always just opening the floodgates. It's just, how can you be slightly more vulnerable or slightly more in touch with your own feelings so that you can connect better with your partner, have your needs met, be more part of a community, build stronger bonds with male friends, et cetera, et cetera. You can't be a closed bottle or completely closed up and let no one into your life and have genuine, deep connections. The two don't work with each other. So, yeah.
And I see this a lot. And I had a conversation with a wonderful man recently. Mark Green is his name. And he talked a lot about man box culture, which is something I'd never heard of until we spoke. it's along what you were saying, is like, as men, we're socialized into not talking about how we feel.
Yeah.
And part of what is called, kind of, he calls man box culture, is like these tenets, like, as a man, you can't be seen to be weak. You know, you can't do anything that's labeled like quote unquote girly. And it's so common. We see this in men. We stop talking, we stop connecting with other men as well. It's not just like you said, they bottle everything up.
Yeah.
And then we're thrown into this dating world at like whatever age. It could be like late teens, 20s. And somehow we also told the message that you're not a real man if you can't like get with women, sleep with lots of women. And we've been taught to bottle everything up, but yet now they have to switch it on in these situations, right? And I see men go kind of two routes, you know, and I know from listening to some of your podcasts that one of these routes is men go down to become nice guys, right? You know, maybe it's some heritage in terms of like past trauma with the family and stuff. They go down being nice guys. And then there's the kind of, again, quote unquote, kind of bad boy route as well, which, you know, I have some qualms about that because I don't think it's as cut and dry as that.
Yeah.
And there's this idea that, you know, these bad boys, they get ahead, they get what they want, they get all the women, they drive the cars, you know, they're having good times, and the nice guys get left behind, and they struggle and they don't get anything. And I'm really interested, this is a question I wrote down before actually, was how many of the kind of bad boys come to you in your coaching practice? Because I have a lot of guys who come to me who are like recovering nice guys. They're just nice. They're really nice. They don't have any boundaries. They don't stand up for themselves. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. They derive all their value from giving to other people. But I'm always interested about this other side, these bad boys. Like, what happens to these guys? Because I meet a few of them, but not many. So I'm really interested if, like, do you come across these sorts of men in your coaching practice?
You're right to say that most of the men that I end up working with are more in that nice guy camp. They're wanting to learn boundaries, being more assertive, you know, getting clarity on what they need and how to ask for it and all that. I do come across the other camp. And it's interesting because what I'm usually hearing when I say, like, what's missing? What are you struggling with? Is they go, well, I've had a lot of meaningless connections, and I am now actually wanting to create a deeper connection. I don't know how. I don't know how to be vulnerable. I'm afraid of it. I'm so bottled up. I'm so angry inside that these guys need a lot of like emotional processing, right? Or, you know, I've come across guys that are like, well, I'm actually like quite successful. I'm quite good looking, but for some reason, I'm not really getting past month 2 or month 3. And that's because these guys can kind of kick it in the beginning, so to speak, but then they don't know how to get deeper. And so women are like, hey, it's been great, but I kind of need more from you. And they're like, I don't know how to give you more. So they're getting stuck at that point.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing on that other side. And again, like you said, it's not so black and white as to like a specific definition of men in either group. You're either a bad boy or you're like a nice guy. There's a lot of in between there too. But so those are the kind of issues that I'm hearing about with men that, you know, they can get dates. They can get with women. They probably have had lots of sex, but it's later on that they realize, oh, none of that has actually been fulfilling. And I have missed out on a lot of the deeper connection. So the nice guys, they're like, oh, I really had a deep connection, but now I'm resentful of my partner because I don't know how to now stand up for myself or ask for what I need. And it's been a few years and I've been giving. And it's felt really lovely, but now it feels like I'm empty. Yeah. So that's kind of where they get to.
Yeah. And it's interesting with the we'll keep calling them bad boys because it fits it'll make for a great title.
Yeah, it will.
And it's funny because I really fit into that. Like that was how my dating life was for, you know, from 18 to almost 33. A few long relationships in there, and I just had more of a knack to create something deeper I wanted to. But it's I also see this in my coaching practice. I see this really bizarre thing in coaching. It's like my the clients I coach mirror me in some point in my life, whether it's currently where I am, it's certain aspects, or at some point in my past. And I like what you said there about the emotional part. It's like they can get dates because they're charismatic, they're funny, they have interesting lives, they do cool shit, they have good friends, like they, good friends, I say quote unquote good friends. And then, like you said, they get 2 months in because they can do all the fun stuff. They can generate there's going to some PUA speak. They can generate attraction, right? They're good at generating attraction. But what they then fall off is after a while is they don't know how to build a relationship, because a relationship's about building a level of connection and real intimacy, right? Real intimacy. And they struggle in that area.
I'd like to say sometimes like posturing, and some people don't understand what I mean by this term, but like guys from the outside, they look attractive. It looks like their lives are together. They have material things that represent what women are wanting from men, like a bit of safety, a bit of security. So these guys might have a nice watch or drive a nice car, or they might paraglide on the weekend or rock climb or like do cool things. And from the outside, they've created this like posturing image that they've got their life together. They can do stuff. They can achieve shit. And not all. Some guys got it all. And they're really well balanced. It all falls down right when the relationship starts to get more serious. When a woman is saying, I need more from you emotionally. And they go, I'll give you a gift. Like, we can go on a nice fancy holiday, but I don't know how to be real with you, because now I'm terrified that you're actually getting to know me underneath all of these things, underneath the nice watch, underneath the hobby that I do. Like, I'm terrified that you are starting to see who I really am. And that freaks me out. So I'm now going to create tons of deactivating strategies, what the avoidant people do. I have tons of deactivating strategies on why you're not right for me. And it could be something like, well, I wasn't really into blondes in the first place. And that might be it. So you're out of there. Or, we don't really have similar hobbies, or she's not as active as I want. So I'm out of here. They'll manifest or create a reason why that's not the right person for them to justify why they can walk away. Really, the true reason is like, I don't know how to really connect deeper with this person. They're starting to like really understand who I am, and I'm afraid of that. So I'm out of here.
Yeah. It's like they have this wonderful outer shell of a man, like they've projected a great movie onto this outer shell, and then as things start to get deeper and the person starts to pierce through the shell a little bit, the fear that they hold internally is that there's nothing there, right? Or what someone will find they won't like. And it's a really interesting one, because I feel like as human beings, we all have this sense that there's a void in us in some way. There's an emptiness in some way, but it affects us all differently. But I see with guys who kind of fall into this like outer shell life, they've created this shell of a life, and they're one of their fears is because they can't really see anything in themselves. They fear that when anyone else gets close to them, they'll also see nothing, and then they'll be seen to be nobodies, and it will confirm their greatest fears. And the deactivating strategies you said, it's like, suddenly being like, maybe I want to date multiple people. Maybe they find one little, and guys, listen to this. I've seen a lot of guys do this. I don't think she's that attractive, actually. I'm finding myself not attracted to her anymore. I don't know what it is. And they find something tiny, like, one of her toenails is a bit funny. And they really... really focus on that one thing. And I'm interested, actually, both, I'm sure the listeners are really interested, because this is probably something a lot of women then face, right? Yeah. A lot of women then face, they've met this guy, he seems really great, they're having a good time, and then suddenly he's disappeared, he's scared, there's a fear there that he doesn't even know. What does the man do to kind of push through that fear and move past that?
Yeah, and usually that's the question people are asking. It's very reactive way to deal with it. So it's like, I've met the girl and now things are getting real and now I'm freaked out. So now what do I do? Versus, guys, if you know this to be true about yourself, start doing some of the work now so you don't end up in that situation. You already know how to deal with it, or you've practiced being vulnerable, so you can actually just say to your partner, hey, so I'm noticing that I'm actually getting a little overwhelmed. This is something I've recognized in myself, i.e. I know myself, right? I'm feeling a little like things are getting intense and I'm a bit scared. And then they can actually have that conversation with their partner to say, maybe like, let's just slow things down a little bit. Like, can you support me through this? Will you? Are you the type of woman that can support me through this? She either will or she won't be, right? And so it's getting to the point to say, I'm feeling afraid, or I'm feeling whatever emotion that it is, and then working with your partner to overcome it. The same way that a super anxious person needs to communicate to their partner, I'm feeling really overwhelmed or really anxious right now about us buying a house together. Like I'm freaking out about it. So can we have a conversation and compromise and support each other through the inevitable shit that we all have, right? So for me, it's like, okay, I can help a guy at that point in time to start opening himself up. He's going to have to do the hard work, right? But what would be nice is that people learn about themselves a little more, learn what you've been like in the past, and know what your strengths are when it comes to relating to other people, and know what your weaknesses are. Where do you stop sharing, and what makes you clam up, and what has triggered you in the past, and understand those things, because that's the part we need to work with, right? So it's working with the part of that man that's unsure and helping him get the clarity as to whether or not he is just pulling away because he's afraid, or if he's pulling away for a valid reason, because the girl that he's dating is not right for him. And he's got that feeling that like, I don't know if I want to keep investing in this person. And that's valid. And there are times when we need to walk away, but it's working with that part of the guy that's unsure. Is it you're afraid, or is it, hey, this isn't right for me and I need to end it? It could be two different things, right? So
yeah, and I see this is where the whole of kind of dating and dating coaching especially is evolved into, is that actually this is self-awareness. A man must start to expand his awareness of his being into his emotional body, should we call it? I come from doing a lot of yoga and tantra, so I call it emotional body, because we are, as we said earlier, like we are socialized into not being in touch with our emotions. So then we end up with a very limited range of emotions. Like we have fear, anger, panic, that sort of thing. And then we don't even know that, okay, someone's getting too close to us. Oh, I'm just panicking. And we make this assumption often as people, I'm feeling a certain way. That means that this thing must be wrong. This relationship must be wrong, without actually. And then we get that support of the people around us, right? Everyone's going, oh man, like if you're feeling that way, then this is not the right relationship for you. Yeah. It's wrong. If you're not feeling good, then it must be wrong for you. Which is bullshit. Because
total bullshit. Like, let's just make that explicitly clear, because even in long-term marriages or relationships, there's going to be times where things don't feel perfect. So if you use that as your excuse to ditch it, then you'll be a serial relationship person, serial dater, right?
Yeah. And you just have to start to learn, like, okay, why do I not feel good? What sort of feeling not good is this not good? Is it like fear, hesitation? Okay, why am I afraid? Like, and this is a really great question I ask my people I coach a lot. Is like, I just say why? Like, why are you feeling that way? Oh, that thing happened. No. That thing happened and you're feeling something. And I'm going to say to you, those two things are not linked together. That thing happened over there and your feelings, it's easy for you to say that caused that, but there's no real causality there. Why are you feeling afraid about that thing? And you start to delve into that. And this is a good question for us to ask ourselves, is like, why am I feeling afraid? Why am I feeling nervous? And this is where we start getting into, we almost start going backwards from that point, because it's like, oh, I've done this before in relationship. I've done it over there. Oh, maybe it wasn't all the other people. Oh shit, it might be me. And this is something I see, which is beautiful to see in dating more and more now. And in terms of dating coaching, is that people are looking at themselves and inwards instead of kind of it all being tactical and strategic.
Yeah. Look, there are coaches out there that will dive you straight into the tactical, how to pick up a girl, what to say, what's funny. And look, probably some of that's going to work really well. But then what happens? Right? Once you've got on the date or you're on date 3, that then do you feel confident in yourself? Do you know yourself well enough to then maintain that? Because look, and there's some people out there, they want to just date around and have some fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you do decide that you want to create something with someone else, I'm hoping that you're not trying to learn this now at 48 or 49 or 50, that you said, okay, like my conscious choice is to date around and have fun, but at the same time, I do want to learn about myself so that when I am ready, I'm ready, not starting back at 0. Right? So yeah, understanding oneself. I do a fantastic exercise where I talk about key frustrations that have happened for individuals in their relationship. So anything that triggered them to feel a certain emotion. So then we talk about that frustration and the emotion that it caused. And as a result of that emotion, we talk about the thought that went along with it. So she didn't call me back. It made me feel really rejected. So I thought maybe this isn't the right person for me. Right. And then it goes into what then behavior did you take? So I then started flirting with another girl. You see how the whole stream goes, like I had a frustration, which made me feel a certain way. That made me then think something. And then that thought turned into a behavior that probably wasn't such a great one. So I help these guys understand how these things are linked together and what it's causing them to do in their lives. And if those behaviors aren't particularly healthy ones, they then go, oh, right. I'm jumping to a conclusion about something. I'm not discussing it with my partner or asking them to call me back in a shorter amount of time. I'm just letting that emotion turn into a thought that then turns into a behavior that actually sabotages the relationship versus going, how do I choose to do something different with that emotion? Oh, I'm feeling rejected or I'm feeling like ignored. That then can become a trigger to say, maybe there's something I need to discuss with my partner in a healthy way so we can overcome that. Because the quicker solution, other than emotionally cheating on your partner to try and get what you want, could be to say, hey, babe, like, you know me, I'm sometimes a little anxious when it comes to texting. Totally trust you and love you. Go do your thing. But do you mind just checking in with me once in the day? And if she loves you and can compromise and is the right person for you, she'll go, no problem, babe. Great. You got your solution and you can continue moving forward in that relationship versus allowing that frustration to turn into a behavior that you don't like that then creates this like sabotaging pattern. So this is just a small example of like some of the things I work through with clients to just help them understand how they deal with their emotion, the thoughts, and how that triggers them to certain behaviors they may want to start changing in themselves. So that kind of opens up Pandora's box for a lot of clients.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful process because often we just, I had a conversation with one of my clients recently, and how did I describe it to him? I didn't do exactly the same process that you did there, but like I kind of questioned him and his thinking process that got him to an action. Yeah. And to him, all that happened was a thing happened and he took an action. Like to him, it was just like stimulus and reaction. And when we kind of dissected a little bit closer, there was like a number of assumptions and thoughts, just like you said there. And I was like, do you see how this is like an accordion? Right? The accordion has all these bits and pieces in the middle, but you just collapse the whole thing together into one. Yeah. And you've been operating from that way in this part of dating to him. And, I went silent for a while so he could think about it really long, because we do this so much. Like a thing happens and we have all these thoughts and assumptions. And then we take an action, but in our minds, we collapse it all into one thing. Like, oh, that thing happened, so I took that action. And that makes complete sense when it's not at all. I'm interested in changing tact, actually, because something just jumped into my mind. One of the things I'm working with men quite often is the age-old dating question. It's like, how can I meet more women? How can I meet more women? This is probably, I'm sure, there's somewhere in the Bible right? Where some man is asking another man, or it was meant to be in the Bible and they removed it because, you know, maybe a woman said something near there and they didn't want that in there. And it's the simple question of like, how can I meet more women? You know, maybe they had an ale or over some dirty water or something, but it's the question that always lives on in men's lives. And I'd love to hear, you know, especially in 2022, because we're in this kind of post-apocalyptic, post-COVID world, not quite post-COVID completely, but post-pandemic world. And it's like some guys are sitting going, how do I meet women in this day and age? Like, where do I meet women? I don't know where they live. I don't know where they hang out. Am I allowed to even talk to women? You know, that's another question altogether.
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. And I have so many different angles I can approach it with. But the first thing I want to say is don't make it hard for women to find you, firstly. Okay, first thing. So the other way I could have answered that is stop being so lazy in your life. Okay. And yeah, it's a little harsh. You want to meet women, then you need to engage with life.
Yes.
Okay. Which means it doesn't mean you're saying which bar do all the ladies go to and I need to start engaging in drinking every night. No. What I mean by engaging in life is, say, for example, you're someone who works from home. And you actually ask yourself how many hours a day you're in your home versus how many hours you're out in the world and society. Very easy for someone to say, actually, 4 or 5 days in a row, I haven't even left my house. Well, you ain't going to meet a lady and she can't find you if you're not out in the world. So what I mean by even just the little bits of engaging with society is walk down your street for a coffee, get out to go somewhere to grab your lunch, like start putting yourself out in the world. To answer like my first bit of advice, which is don't make it hard for women to find you, right? The second thing I say is women are out there doing things all of the time. So what kind of woman do you want to attract or be in a relationship with? Is she really nerdy, right? Is she the type of girl that's going to be taking a course or studying somewhere or learning because that's the type of woman that she is? Is it a really athletic girl that you want to attract? Because she's probably going to be taking tennis lessons or going for a hike or hitting the beach or playing volleyball. So firstly, think about the type of woman you want to attract and why. And then think about, so I do this exercise with clients as well. I think about what activities that you love doing, first and foremost, what activities, hobbies, learning opportunities, networking events, places that you want to go that you love. Write out a long list. Then ask yourself, what might the woman you want to attract be doing off that list? And the important thing here is that you have to love it. She has to love it. Okay, so if you say, oh, I just want to go out and meet ladies, so I'm going to take a cooking class to meet ladies that cooks. I want a lady that cooks, but you don't love cooking. Then you're in a cooking class just to meet a lady. You don't even want to be there. You probably suck at it. Like you're not even going to be on your best game. You're trying too hard. That's not the advice I'm giving. I'm saying, think about what you love to do to engage in life. I don't care how weird that is, how wacky that is. If you like going to Comic-Cons or if you love ice climbing, I don't care. Just write your list down of the things that you love doing and then cross-reference it with what you would imagine this future partner doing as well. And once you have two things that align, start getting out there in the world. So, go to the local. I just put a podcast. It was like a 20-minute podcast or something. I said, where to meet people in 2022. And I talk about giving you ideas on what you can do to get out in life and meet people. So you can go listen to that short episode. But if you want to meet women, then you need to get out there and do things that you love. Why? Women love guys that are good at certain things. And I mean anything. A guy that's good at cooking, a guy that's good at gardening, a guy that's good at shooting, a guy that's good at running. It doesn't matter. So you want to put yourself in an environment that you want to be in, that you probably naturally thrive in some way. And then you're going to meet people. And it might not be your dream woman that you meet, but you might meet a cool dude that you get along with. And now you have a new friend and that friend invites you to a barbecue 3 months later and your dream girl is fucking there. Yeah. So what I say to this guy, where do I meet women? And I say, well, what are you doing in your life right now?
Yes.
And the truth is, what I'm hearing a lot is not a lot. I'm not doing a lot. I work, I go to the gym. Maybe you go to the gym, and I order my groceries, and I'm like, it's not firstly, are you satisfied with your life?
Yes.
You're probably not, to some degree. So engage with life. And then I'll hear well, I'm introverted, or I don't really need many connections in my life. And I literally, bullshit. Maybe you don't need as much as other people. Maybe you don't need as much as an extrovert. I'm introverted, believe it or not. Right. So right. People wouldn't, all your reels. Oh no, you're extroverted. No, I'm not. I don't need to go out as often as other people do. I don't need to socialize as often as other people do. But I know that if I don't, that I'm not going to be able to maintain my friendships. I know that if I don't, months are going to go by and I realize that I haven't learned anything new or done anything. So where you want to meet ladies is out in the world where you're learning, you're having fun, you're trying something new, you're getting together with friends, you're hosting a barbecue and inviting people around, and you're saying, bring someone else. You're creating opportunities to socialize, build connection, and invite attractive women into your life, because you're embodying the kind of life that those women also want to be part of, right? If you want a high quality woman in your life who's athletic, who's fairly independent, who makes her own money, who takes care of herself, then you have to do that too. So that's my answer, which puts all of the work back on the dude, to be fair. Yeah. But it's an honest answer.
No, and then I was, if this was church, I'd be saying amen. This is the same conversation I have with my clients. Yeah. Preach, sister, preach.
Women, they're hanging out at the coffee shop. They're having lunch with their girlfriends. They're out shopping. Like, they're online dating as well. They're taking tennis classes. They're at the driving range golfing. They're at the Comic-Con. They're taking the math course. There's all types of people. I always go to the sports because I'm really sporty. So I'm like, I know where all the sporty girls are hanging out. Yeah. And if I was single, I know where I'd pick up a dude. I would be at that driving range in the cutest little outfit, like 3 times a week. That's where I would be going to meet a dude. 1, I love golfing. 2, I love learning and taking lessons and becoming a better golfer. And I'm usually one of the like 3 or 4 women in a whole row of dudes. That's where I'm going. But luckily I've got a handsome man, so no need to go out and find someone right now, but he golfs with me, so super bonus. Yeah. And
this is the thing I say to my clients as well, is like, are you living? I'm like, are you living life? Are you really living life? And I like to do a similar exercise. I like to go, hey, talk to me about your week.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your week. What did you do? Yeah. When did you leave your house? Like, when did you interact with some other human beings? And like, it's really interesting that people sit at home and complain in their boxers with their hands on their phone on Instagram, going, man, where do I meet all these women? There's no women around. And you're like, you haven't left your house in 4 days. And when you did leave your house, it was just to get groceries or whatever, right? And it's like, how much living are you doing? How much, like, as you put it, it's like, how much are you inserting yourself into the world and engaging with what's happening around you? Like, because there's so much happening.
Yeah. And you'll hear every excuse under the sun. I don't have the money. I work too many hours. I've got a co-parenting thing with my ex and her kids. It takes up all my time. I'm not athletic. You will hear every excuse under the sun. And my answer to that is, if you keep making excuses, you'll keep getting the same results. So if this is something that is important enough to you, and it might not be, I don't know. If it's important enough to you, you will start to make small changes so that you can create the space for these opportunities, right? Like, you have to, there is no coach out there that can just bring all of life to you, right? Like, coaching and living a life means that you have to go out there. You have to push yourself past your comfort zone. And I'm not saying all of us can afford private tennis lessons or a new set of golf clubs, but you can host barbecues and invite people around. You can walk to grab a coffee and bring your own cup if you want. You can put yourself out in the world more so that those opportunities are created. And then the second part of that is you don't go out there like this, right? Looking at the ground, you know, totally like shut off from everything. You have to open yourself up, and you have to smile at the person on the street. You have to have that small talk with the person that makes the coffee or the bus driver or whatever it is, because that's you opening yourself up. You're putting positive energy out into the world, and then that comes back as positive experiences. So getting out is one thing, but getting out and being open is important to mention as well, because, you know, there are times when I go out of the house, I put on my camo hat, I'm kind of in disguise because I'm in the mood to not socialize or talk. I'm whatever, I got a face mask on, or I'm running to get chicken to make my dinner and I'm in my pajamas and all I want to do is go out and get home. And so I am, my body language, the way I'm dressed is in a way to say, I'm not out here to socialize. And it's very easy for people to be like that when they're out in society. So you have to be conscious about, I'm going out. I'm not expecting to meet the woman of my dreams 3 blocks from now, but I'm not closed off to that either. Right? Mm-hmm. So many people you walk past the street are like, they're like afraid to look at you, like as if you're going to like suck them into your lair. They're like, oh. You know, I do that sometimes because I'm a wacky person. So if I'm in a really good mood and I'm going for like a walk on a break, I'll be like, hi, or like make a point to smile at people just to break them out of the zones that they're stuck in. Because it's like, for me, it's a social experience. I'm like, hello, how's it going? Nice day, like chat. And sometimes people are like, oh yes, hello, you know, because they're in that mode where they're really closed off. So getting out there in the world and then being open to being out there is also important too. So
yeah, the second part of it, being open, is so important. It's I often, and there's some free, I'm gonna give people some free advice. I always offer free advice. Smile at people on the street. Just spend an hour every day as you walk down the street. And if you're listening to this going, but I don't go outside, well, you need to fucking go outside then.
Outside,
Smile at people in the street. Just smile.
You will feel crazy though. Like, let's be real. Yeah. You'll feel crazy because so many people won't smile back, or you'll be like, my face hurts because I haven't smiled this much in ages. But like, just a little glance, a little smile, acknowledgement that another human being is passing by you. Right? Like, yeah.
It makes such a difference. And I tell a story from my own life. I traveled around the world for a couple of years. And when I came back so I spent 2 years just traveling and talking to people, right? You know what it's like. You're just talking to everybody. You know, you're in a hostel, you're talking, get on a bus, you're talking. And I got back to London. You know, London's traditionally, people see it as a very hostile city. No one talks to each other. And I was on the tube coming back from the airport, and I had my bag on the floor, and I was sitting there, and there's this woman next to me, old lady. She probably like, I don't know, 60s, 70s. I know she was reading something in the magazine. So I started kind of looking at the magazine. Then she noticed me looking at her reading the magazine. So I just said, I commented on the article. Mm-hmm. 5 minutes later, we're having a full-blown conversation about the article. And she's like, where are you going? I was like, I've just come back from my travels and blah, blah, blah. We talking on the tube, right? And this is the tube in London, is that place everyone says you cannot talk to strangers on the tube. So we had a full conversation on the tube, and I'm telling her about where I've been. I started showing her some photos and all this kind of thing. And it's only occurred because in that moment, I was willing to be open. I was open to the possibility of that conversation happening, right? So if you're listening to this, particularly guys, and I know a lot of women often listen to my podcast as well, and it's also true for you, is ask yourself, like, how open are you to meeting the man or woman of your dreams randomly as you're walking down the street? Because if you've been single for a long time, or you struggle to meet partners and people to date, this is probably a huge reason why, because there's no openness in your life. You're not open to like laughing and joking with a random person and it being nothing, right? Or it being a friendship, or it being, a lifelong partnership. We need to start being more open and stop believing the whole world is this really scary and unfriendly place when we're just trying to go to the corner to get coffee.
Totally. And the important thing is that you said beliefs there, because what usually will prevent people from having that experience is that they believe that it's not possible. So if you are taking the advice here and you're saying, I'm going to sign up for something new and I'm going to get out of the house more, yet you have this self-limited belief that you're just not good enough for anyone, there's still a missing link here for you, right? Because if you believe that you can't find an attractive woman, or that it's not possible that an attractive woman that could date you might walk around the corner, then it's never going to happen, because you will shut down every opportunity because you believe it won't happen. So it's not about like having some Disney fantasy. It's just believing that it's possible, right? Because if you don't believe it's possible, then it's not possible, because you will go out and seek evidence in your life to fulfill your belief that it won't happen, right? And so as long as you're saying, look, I believe that this is possible and I'm just going to stay open, but my expectations aren't like some Disney film, but I'm just open to life. So many, and I say the story all the time. 3 of the men that I dated, I met in public. 1 picked me up on a train. Okay. 1 I met in an elevator. I can't remember the 3rd one. So I was just doing my own thing. Those guys didn't know if I was married, I was taken, I was a lesbian. They didn't know. They didn't know, right? And one of them, I'm on the train and I have my earphones in and I'm open, but I'm shut off, if you know what I mean. Like I'm in the zone, or I could have been reading a book or something, but I'm doing something, which means I'm not fully paying attention to everything around me. But the guy was bold enough to come up and kind of waved to get my attention. I took my earphones out and he said hi, and he paid me a compliment. It was a train that I would take very regularly into work, 10, 15 minutes, very, very varying each day. And he goes, hey, I've seen you here a few times, and I just wanted to kind of come over and introduce myself and just let you know that I just really love your energy, and what are you so happy about? And it was just such a pleasant interaction. Turns out I actually found him quite attractive in the moment. We exchanged numbers and we ended up dating for a while. That's how easy it can be, right? And yes, there's going to be women that you approach that are in a bad mood, that are cold, that don't find you interesting or aren't interested in the way you look. And they're going to be, they're going to shut you down. And that's going to happen no matter who you are, how good looking you are, how much money you have, or whatever. But it's also possible if you believe it to be possible. And guys can meet women in all sorts of places, because remember, women are also out there looking for their Prince Charming too. They are putting themselves out there as well so that they can meet a handsome guy that goes to their coffee shop. Like, remember that women are humans, and they also are desiring partnership, and they're also wondering where to meet men too. So keep that in mind, because sometimes I feel like men see women as like this super closed off challenge to overcome, whereas some women are just getting out there hoping to run into a guy that says hi to them. So it's just good to keep that in mind.
Yeah, as I said, it's like women are just like you guys, women are just like you. They also might be feeling a bit nervous. They almost also might be feeling like they don't look their best. They also might be feeling like, they are a bit tired, or that, it's a bit odd when you start talking to them. And the key thing here is to remember, I say this so much to people, is like, just because you look at her and you think she looks wonderful and perfect, and you've created this dream life behind who she is, and everything's wonderful, doesn't mean that she sees herself in that way, right? Like, you might see this princess standing in front of you, wonderfully done up in lovely clothes and wonderful hair and blah, blah, blah. But in her mind, she might be the maid, right? Or I'm thinking of Cinderella when she's like looking after her fairy godmother.
Her evil sisters.
Evil sisters, yeah. She might feel like that. So your idea of who she is and the idea she has of herself, right, won't match up, which means when you might start speaking to her, what might appear to you as like frostiness or anger or whatever might just be a little bit of self-consciousness and a bit of shyness all mixed into one.
That's, oh wow, I love that you made that point, because so many men are like, oh, I fear this rejection, and I have to remember, I have to remind them all the time that women are also projecting onto you. Like, you don't know if she has her own self-limited belief that no man will ever pick her up, or that she's not attractive enough to be approached, or the reason she's at yoga is because she hates her body. Like, you don't know any of that, and it's so important not to make assumptions that the reason someone might not be engaging with you in the way they want is because you did it wrong. It's usually, that's not the case. It's because we're all humans with so many confusing, conflicting emotions and negative thoughts about ourselves, that sometimes what could have been just a positive interaction if we both were perfect humans and had perfect beliefs about ourselves can sometimes be a little different. So like, be mindful of that and be open to it, and don't always assume that what you did was wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because often where we go is like we did something wrong, or
Yeah.
we are, or worse, it's like we have kind of shame or toxic shame. It's like we are bad. There's something wrong with us intrinsically, and we just made that assumption all the time.
By the way, guys, there's been so many women that have been like, oh, this cute guy approached me, but I freaked out and I like told him I had a boyfriend. Or right, this guy approached me and I was like in my yoga gear and I felt really funny and I didn't know what to say. So I told him I had to like go to an appointment, and I ran away. Like, and then these guys are like, women are hard to approach, and like, I keep getting rejected. And I like, these girls are like shitting themselves that they couldn't hold it together long enough to actually talk to you, because they're freaking out too.
Yeah.
Like, even in that interaction on the train where the guy approached me, when I kind of looked up, I was surprised. I got nervous. I think I blushed. Like, I managed to hold it together, but I also was having my own emotional reactions to being approached by what I thought was a handsome stranger. So like, be kind. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Realizing that we're all having this human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a difficult experience for the best of times, like, and then we mix it, throw in this dating thing, which is super difficult and triggering for many of us. It's like just a bit of compassion actually is like a bit of like, what do I call it? It's like, stop being so zoomed in on your experience all the time and having blinkers on to those other human beings feeling something, and just zoom yourself out a little bit, come from that perspective. I like to call it, come from the perspective as if you were, 100 feet in the air and you're watching this situation and you can see all the moving parts of it instead of just your moving part and how you're affecting the situation.
Like, it's not all about you, right? Kind of harsh to say that, but it's like, oh, she rejected me because I look this way, or I did this thing, or I said it. And it's like, it's not all about you, right? Don't make it all about you. And also, like, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. So step back a little bit, because people talk a lot about like ego and narcissism, and narcissism exists on a scale, right? If you have way too much of it, it's not good. If you have none of it, it's not good. You need to have some level of self-appreciation and self-love, which means we think about ourselves, we believe we're capable of greatness, we can compliment ourselves, and all of that is really important. It's interesting that these people that feel like they have no ego are the ones that actually think everything is happening because of them. So it's just fascinating how our minds work, right? Oh, she doesn't like me because I'm this and I'm that, and I did this or didn't do this. And it's like, no, it's not all about you all the time. Remember, when you're interacting with someone else, you're interacting with someone that has their own set of beliefs, their own strengths, their own insecurities, their own experiences. And if we can just like remember that a little bit, it's not all about me. It's what's unfolding between me and everyone else. I don't know, maybe that might make a little mental shift for some people. I'm not sure. Yeah.
And our last question is, what's one of the like really common things that's coming up for you in terms of your work that you're doing with men? You're seeing like a repeated, sometimes something just keeps coming up, with people, and you're like start to see a common problem that's surfacing.
Yeah. So got lots of those, of course, like the people pleasing, the lack of boundaries, the self-limiting beliefs. I see that a lot. But what I'm recognizing recently is people don't know what dating is. Right? Yeah. I figured you would laugh. So I get a lot of people to say, like, I want to date again, or I've broken up with my partner, or I've divorced now and I've been married 15 years and now I'm dating again. I don't know what to do. What the hell? How do I date? Believe it or not, that's what people are asking, because people's idea of what dating is vastly different. So, to give you a brief, example of what dating is, it's pursuing a romantic connection with someone through shared experience. Okay, that's it. That means you can be doing that with more than one person. Okay. It means you have to have, and did I say shared experiences? Right? It means you need to spend more than one date with a person to essentially evaluate whether they're compatible for you. Whereas I think a lot of people think, like, I should just find that person and that's my person right away. And it's like, don't jump to the future or romanticize or, fantasize about what life will be like with this person. Be real and spend time getting to know them so that you can decide whether you want to commit or whether you want to move on from that experience. So I'm starting to notice that people are like, how do I date? That's like a question I'm getting a lot. And I get it, because it might feel more complicated, or people haven't dated in a long time, or they never dated. So how do I date and deal with all of the stuff that comes up as I'm doing it? I got a lot of guys that say, oh, I feel really uncomfortable dating more than one woman at a time. And I say, well, you don't have to sleep with more than one woman at a time. If you do, different conversation. But you can be spending some time with different women, maybe 2, maybe 3, getting to know them, building a connection, evaluating whether they're right for you and how you feel around them, and then decide if you want to pursue one of those 3 or none of them, because that's dating. It's not a rush or a sprint to get into a committed relationship. Dating is an experience. It's a journey. So stop trying to rush that process because maybe you value commitment, or you associate commitment with self-worth. Like, to be committed means I'm worthy, which isn't true, right? You're worthy even before you're in a committed relationship, but people feel that way. So they rush the dating process. And that's kind of what I'm seeing these days. How do I date? What does that mean? What does it look like?
And I hear there, it's a lot of thinking and assumptions about what the thing is before even going, okay. It's like asking the question, like, what is dating? I don't know what dating is. Like, they have an idea of what it is, instead of just going, well, let me just do what feels quite natural, which might be to talk to some people, or let's hang out with somebody and get to know some people. There's this, as my coach often says to me, it's like, we have a lot of thinking about the things we want to do.
Yeah.
And we have this idea we have to have it all figured out before we start doing the thing, when actually all we need to actually do is try the thing and start doing the thing.
Yeah.
And we'll start learning about it, and our ideas and our thoughts and our assumptions will start to fall away. Yeah.
One of the goals, and so I have a client intake form when men want to work with me, and almost every single client I work with that's single is saying, I want to be in a committed relationship. And let's say on average, I'm working with a client for 3 to 4 months, sometimes 6 months or longer. The first thing I'll say to them is, I cannot guarantee as a coach that you're going to meet the woman of your dreams in 3-4 months. I said, if that's the kind of result you want, go to a different coach, because I don't know what they're doing, but I don't know how they're doing it, right? Like, if they got some voodoo, fair enough, work with someone else. I go, I will help you get clarity on what you want. I will help you enjoy the dating experience. I will help build your toolkit and skills and confidence so that you know how to move forward and make the decisions without feeling like you need to now work with a coach, right? So I'm like, I will give you and you might meet that person in that time, and that has happened, right? But it's like, the goal is not, I just want to find someone. It's like, no, you want to find the right someone. And what does the right someone look like? So a lot of our work is getting that clarity, and then getting out and doing the doing, going on dates, and then saying, you know, that person was really attractive, but their values were very different from mine. So I know that it's not worth pursuing. Yeah, you're dating. Woohoo. Right. So anyways, you know, we all want to find that person, and we, you know, a lot of us are in a rush. We want to find the person, get married, buy the home, have the dog, have the babies, and then all of it happened in like 1 year, and all of the cool things in your life have just gone. It's like, enjoy getting to know people in the dating experience, and enjoy the connection of committing to someone new, and then enjoy that relationship for a while you work towards something else, because life is not just about a destination or getting married or all these things that we always want to achieve. It's like life is made up in the little moments along the way. So that's kind of what I'm helping guys a lot with, is like, you don't need to rush this process. Yes, I know you're excited to find that special someone is going to happen for you, but let's build that toolkit of mindset and confidence and skill and clarity, so you're out there doing it the right way, right? Is really the bulk of the work I do, to be fair. So, yeah.
Beautiful. It's slowing them down and allowing them to be present to the moments, actually enjoy being there in the experience, instead of projecting to the experience the idea that the experience in the future is going to be better than the experience now.
Yeah. And I think, just like a last point, I think sometimes the reason people want to rush into commitment or is because, you know, it's like, oh, I got to lock her down, because then she's going to find out that I'm this or that, or I'm not as cool as I thought I was. So let me lock this down. And they forget to ask themselves this very, very key question, which is, do I like them?
Yes.
Because we're so preoccupied. Do they like me? Do they think I'm hot and handsome and sexy? And like, do they think I'm okay enough earning 80 grand a year, or 60 grand a year? Like, it's all about me again. And it's like, wait a second, dude, did you stop and ask yourself if you like her beyond her looks? Do you like the kind of woman she is, and what contribution she might be able to bring to the relationship? And like, ask yourself that really important question, because it's not just, do they like me? It's like, is this person also right for me? Is this woman going to inspire me? Is she going to support my dreams? Is she kind to me? Does she appreciate who I am without me changing? Right. And so, you know, and I was guilty of this when I dated too. I was like, does he like me? Do you think he likes me? Like, oh my God, like, does he like who I am? Because that makes me feel good. And then I'm like, wait a second, do I even like this dude? It's like, hold on, I'm getting so caught up in the self-image that I forget to like be logical and say, hold on, a committed partnership can be a real long-term thing. I best decide whether I want to open myself up to this person. And I want to make that final point, because it's very easily forgotten.
Yes. Yeah. Really important point. Really, really important point. I can't stress that more. Kimberly, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. The time has flown. I just looked up at the time, and we've gone, easily gone past the hour. I'm sure the listeners are wondering where they can find more of you. They can see these famous reels that we've spoken about, and and work with you as well.
Yes. Well, I suppose I hang out on Instagram, and that's just, my handle is at Kimberly Nina Hill. My website is the same thing, KimberlyNinaHill.com. You can just learn a little bit about, me and the coaching, and book a consultation if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, if you want to just consume content and have fun, check me out on Instagram, or of course I record my own weekly podcast, Spotify, iTunes, and that's called The Self-Confidence Project, or Project, wherever you're from. You can check me out. If you want to listen to me, go to the podcast. If you want to maybe see me and listen to me, go to Instagram. If you kind of just want to learn about me, go to the website. I don't know. Or you can do it all.
And I have to recommend Kimberly's content. Like I said, I've been following for a while, and the reels are very really insightful, and they're really sharp onto a singular point, or a point that's important. So if you're listening to this and you've enjoyed this episode, then you're going to go and binge through the many reels that she has. And enjoy the backgrounds as well.
And the turtlenecks, folks. What were your favorite? What is I got? Gray, tan, and like a darker orangey tan. Let me know which turtleneck you like the most, and I'll recreate some reels in that color come September. I should probably put a story out and be like, guys, which turtleneck you like me in the most? And then I'll create more videos based on that. Oh my God. And I think I have a purple and a black like long sleeve shirt too. So
wow.
Funny. I gotta go back to the long sleeve. I think those were rocking more. Yeah.
Yeah. They got more likes. Yeah. I'm thinking about doing a series of reels where like I'm on the beach and see if that helps with my engagement, because you know
I did that too. Like when I was on my holiday in Mexico, I recorded a bunch of reels just like in the like beautiful like garden and all the bright colors, and they're fun, but yeah, obviously people are drawn to beautiful settings and images. So you know, if you give them something nice to look at, a beach or beautiful palm tree, it's intriguing for anyone, right?
Yeah. All right, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, listeners. You know, if you've enjoyed this episode and if you've learned something, you know, please get in contact with the two of us. You know, there's all the details in show notes, all the links and so forth are down there. And just let us know what you learned, because it's always good to hear from people what they got out of the podcast. Because sometimes podcasting can feel like this. You just kind of put things into the ether constantly and have no idea whether it's useful. People download it, but you never really know. So yeah, it's always nice to hear from people and to talk to people. So yeah, be in touch. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for me. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for your wonderful wisdom.
Thanks to everyone listening. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.